welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn another interesting topic. But before we go ahead, I have something amusing that I would like to present to you. Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter. So Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter batter better. What is this exactly? Could you identify? Yes, it is a tongue twister. Now, did you notice anything else? You could notice that there was a repetition of the letter B. So you are right. The letter B has been repeated over here. What else do you observe? Something that is quite evident? Yes, there is a repetition of words like Betty, bit, butter, better, batter. So, can you guess by now what are we actually going to learn today? Yes, very close to it. What we are going to learn today are the figures of speech, specifically those revolving around repetition.
So today we begin with the figures of speech, namely alliteration and repetition. So let's begin. Firstly, what are figures of speech? A figure of speech is a technique or tool of expression by means of which one deviates from the ordinary expression in order to produce a better linguistic or rhetorical effect. So figures of speech are basically a way of expressing in such a way that one deviates, one moves away from the ordinary expression. Why do they do that? In order to produce a better linguistic or rhetorical effect. So I hope you have understood in simple terms what exactly are figures of speech. Let's move ahead and see what we have. Richie Rich robbed Ronald on Ridgeway Road. Can you guess what this figure of speech may be? Do you see the letter R has been repeated throughout the sentence? Richie Rich robbed Ronald on Ridgeway Road. Do you observe? I have also highlighted it in the purple color. Here, if you observe, the sound of the letter R has been repeated. So what is this figure of speech? The figure of speech is alliteration. Alliteration is when a pleasant repetition of sound is characterized by a letter or a syllable to produce a musical or poetic effect. So when you read it, it does not sound like an ordinary expression, right? The sound of the letter R has been repeated. So even when you read it, it gives you a very musical or a poetic effect. Richie Rich robbed Ronald on Ridgeway Road. What could be the possible examples of alliteration? Let's see. Yes, the terrible tiger tore the towel. Can you see there is a repetition of the letter T here? So this again produces a musical or poetic effect. Busy buzzing, the bee behaved beautifully. What do you see here? Yes, you are right. There is a repetition of the letter B over here. She sells seashells on the seashore. What is repeated over here? The letter S. So you can hear the sound S, that of S. She sells seashells on the seashore. But if you also notice minutely, there's also the sound of sh. She sells seashells on the seashore. I hope you are getting my point. Sheep should sleep in a shed. Once more, what has been repeated here? Correct. The letter S has been repeated here. So do you observe all these provide and produce a more poetic effect? Are you getting my point? I hope I am clear to you all. Let us find how alliteration is also present in literary work. So let's have a look at some of the literary examples. This particular sentence has been taken from the short story The Dead by James Joyce. His soul swooned slowly as he heard the snow falling, faintly through the universe and faintly falling, like the descent of their last end upon all the living and the dead. Do you observe here? The letter S has been repeated here, and so is the letter F. So both of these letters have been repeated, and they automatically produce a poetic effect, a more of a musical effect. This is the other sentence that has been taken from the famous The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. Here, what do you observe? Yes, the letter B has been repeated to produce a musical or a poetic effect. You are right. Now we have literary examples where alliteration has been used in poetry. Much madness is divinest sense. It is from the poem Much Madness is Divinest Sense by Emily Dickinson. Do you observe the letter M has been repeated here? Yes, so this is alliteration. It produces a musical effect. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. This is once again alliteration, and this line has been taken from the poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Here again, if you observe closely, the repetition of the letter F and B is here. So what do you understand from here? From this is that a musical effect has been created. I hope by now you have followed and understood what is alliteration. Let's move ahead and see what's further. The president said, work, work, and work are the keys to success. You observe closely here. The word work has been repeated thrice in one sentence. What do you think is this figure of speech? It is repetition. Repetition is when a word or a phrase or a line is repeated to produce a poetic or musical effect. So, as you read it itself, you get an idea of what repetition is. It is when a particular word or a phrase or a line is repeated to produce a poetic effect. Let's go ahead and see some of the examples. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. A single phrase has been repeated thrice. And why? To produce a poetic or musical effect. He tried and finally succeeded. Here once more, the word tried has been used twice in one sentence. Are you following what I am saying? So basically over here, it again produces a more of a rhythmic effect, more of a poetic effect. Rain, rain, go away. Your childhood rhyme is over here. Do you see the word rain has been repeated twice? What happens over here? It actually produces a poetic and musical effect. If you think you can do it, you can do it. Again, there is repetition of the words, you can do it. Okay? So these figures of speech, it is essential to know that they are also used for emphasis, to emphasize a particular idea. Okay, and many poets actually use these figures of speech to emphasize the central idea of their poems. Let's go ahead and see some of the literary examples. This line has been taken from the novel by Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. So here, the words far and I have been repeated to produce a musical or poetic effect. Doubt thou, the stars are fire. Doubt that the sun doth move. Doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love. This is a famous line taken from the very famous Hamlet by William Shakespeare. Here you again see the word doubt has been repeated. So it gives you automatically a poetic effect, or more of a musical effect. As you all know that Hamlet is a play. So this figure of speech very well suits the play Hamlet. Let's move ahead. Some literary examples of repetition from poems. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. This has been taken from the poem Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Here you observe the word rage has been repeated twice. So what happens is it produces a poetic and a musical effect. Oh, Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. I'm sure this is a very famous poem that all of you have heard of. It is by Walt Whitman. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Observe closely. The word captain has been repeated twice. Once again, the purpose is to produce a musical or a poetic effect. Again, here you see the poet is laying emphasis on captain. Are you following? I hope I am making myself clear to you. By this, we come to the end of it. Now, for your assignment, I would like you to find a few tongue twisters with the figures of speech, alliteration, and repetition. It is also a fun activity for you so that you enjoy while you revise your figures of speech of alliteration and repetition. For your application and evaluation, go down to the description and you will find the link that I have provided for you. Do go ahead and attempt those questions. Lastly, I would like to mention, do like, share, subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon for further updates. Thank you.